Hello.
Well, good morning. This is Mike with NXT24. This is such a fun day today on Saturday. Good morning to everybody. We're excited to bring you to this podcast today that we're doing live. So it's so exciting. I'm Mike, and I'm here with...
I'm Sheri.
I'm with Sheri. And so we're just excited to open up today and let today be our... Excuse me while I turn that down. That's such excitement. I should just let it play in the background. But no, it's just an exciting day. We're so happy. We cannot believe this past year that what's been bringing on to NXT24 and what we've done from a couple years ago. We, just to kind of give you some background here, we started with an idea about writing a book, and we thought that was just the biggest mountain to climb that we didn't think that we could ever do. So to get started today, what we're going to do is we're just going to share stories today, share about our lives, let you meet us, and we certainly want to meet you on today. That on this, you'll be podcasting on YouTube and Facebook, and we want you to join us in the chat and answer questions, and just, we're going to make it a great time. So again, welcome. I guess the word for today will be celebrate, and that's to celebrate this fine podcast. Sheri, go ahead. What's your thoughts for today?
Well, I think it's going to be a really fun morning, Mike. First time we get to go live and hopefully get to know all of you people out there. Because this podcast is for you. We're not doing it for us. We're doing it for you. And we want you to participate in this. It's a two-way street. So you can text your comments and questions, and we will do our best to answer them and to address them. I just think we have some exciting things today, Mike.
Oh, it'll be a lot of fun. We're going to just kind of go through the list here of what we have for you today. We're just going to answer some questions today. And I like to think of it as the 5 W's, the who, what, where, and why. So we'll just talk about, so who is Mike and Sheri? And we'll both answer that question, but I just think for us, we're just people who've lived lives. It's been a roller coaster of ups and downs. Just good, hardworking, middle-class people who've trying to do our best. Sheri, how would you describe it?
Well, pretty much what you said. You know, we're in that. What's the word? We're just in that category of just hardworking, middle-class people. Raising families and trying to do the best we can to live each day to the best.
Yeah, that's really true. And we'll go into more detail, but why this is all about. But the one thing I want to stress today, all of this is for you, for the listener, and what we're doing today and what we can offer the community and so forth. So it's just an exciting moment. Sheri, would you give us a little bit about what NXT24 has been about and why it's 24. Go ahead and look at the book and describe the title, the hourglass, and so forth. Why don't you give us a little bit about that?
Well, first of all, this is our book. And if you don't know already, and if you don't have a copy already, I want to tell you, you can get this on the Amazon website. You can get it on the Barnes & Noble website. You can even get it on Walmart, believe it or not. It's also on the shelves at the Barnes & Noble in Lincoln, Nebraska at South Point Mall. And that was pretty exciting for us. It's in two sections of their store. And we really want to thank Barnes & Noble in Lincoln for doing that for us. We wrote the book. It came out of a lot of dark places in our lives, which I think we're going to kind of go into later. And Our cover is really unique. We love our cover. We had an amazing graphic artist who happens to be my next door neighbor, Tom, and he designed this for us. And the title Next 24 came about from the standpoint of what are you going to do with the next 24 hours of your life? It's basically a toolbox and a handbook where you can discover happiness and true joy in your life while you create a legacy. And all of those things go hand in hand, I really think. The thing I really like about our book, Mike, is the hourglass on the front. And there's so much that can go into explaining this. But basically, it comes down to time is short. It doesn't matter whether you're young or old, time is short, and things can be taken away in a matter of minutes. So you really need to live your life and discover your happiness and explore your dreams, your goals, and see them come to fruition. I just can't specify and state it enough that time is way too short, and you got to grasp it and grab it and do what you can with it while it's there.
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you what, it's been quite an amazing journey regarding just the creation of the book and the process of the book. You notice too, our back screen here. Funny story. This looks fancy. This is a shower curtain. This was just, when you have a limited budget, but you've got a dream and you go on Amazon, you can put a picture. I mean, we're real people. We have a budget, we go through, but we put this up on here to make it our backdrop for today. But it turned out great, and we get to look at it every day. And it's just simply that hourglass. And as it says in the book, discover happiness and true joy in your life while you create a legacy. I'll tell you what, at the point of the time of this book, there's more questions than there really are answers. And by the way, we're located here in Omaha, and I'm from Lincoln. Sheri's.
I'm from Lincoln and Omaha. Most of my time in Omaha.
Correct. Yep. And just a little bit more why we wrote the book. We have to go back and tell some history here. So I'll share just a little bit. But again, I was born in Lincoln, 1961. So if you do the math, you can tell how old I am. Youngest of three, great middle class family. But in my life, the obstacles or challenges that I faced that I was not ready to handle, I'll just share three of them. My mother died of leukemia when I was 19. That left a huge void. The other one was my sister died of alcoholism. She had there was a lot of trauma in her life, and she died of alcoholism at the age of 52. Sadly, my oldest brother died of alcoholism. He lived a long life, but he had a definite struggle since the age of 16. My father, from when my mother died, lived another 30 years. But the quality of that life wasn't very good. And what I observed through that time was people's lives, living their lives unfulfilled. And I think that is so sad. So that's always been planted in the back of my mind. It put some fear into me. I don't want to go down that same path. I hate the thought. It frightens me to die unfulfilled or in that way, so that when people were to remember me, they would remember, oh, poor Mike, he drank too much. He didn't fulfill his life. He died. That's how I feel that people see my brother and sister, which is sad because they were wonderful people with many talents. So those were the seeds planted years ago, and this book came about. Sheri, how about you? What kind of stories do you have?
Well, to kind of just like Mike said, just a quick brief history. I was born in Wisconsin, but only lived there for 6 months and came back to Lincoln, where my grandparents were, and grew up there till about 7th grade, and we ended up moving to Omaha. So Omaha and Lincoln I consider both of them home. Was a caregiver most of my life. just a lot of things in my childhood that were amazingly wonderful, but at the same time were amazingly traumatic and very dark. And, as you grow, some of that stuff stays with you and it affects the way you live your life and the choices you make.
Yeah.
I met Mike 2 years ago. I was at a very, very dark place in my life. Had been through a couple abusive marriages, but the last one was not so good. And just really had found myself in that dark place, in that dark hole where I think a lot of people find themselves in, especially nowadays, for a lot of different reasons, which we'll be discussing that later too. But Mike told me about this idea that he had where he had kind of just barely started writing this book and explained to me the concept. And it was like the light bulb went on. The light bulb went on, and I thought, you know what? People need to hear this. I need to hear this. These are things that I can do. These are just his concept and the things we had talked about as far as steps to bring yourself out of some difficulties and to make your life better and to create that legacy. You don't, when we say create a legacy, that doesn't mean you have to be a movie star or rock star or anything like that. But just, that when you do end up with Jesus and you end up in heaven, the people you left behind can say, you know what, this is what their life was about and it was good. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, excuse me, I'm not quoting it exact chapter and verse, but, when we get to heaven, we want Jesus to say to us, well done, good and faithful servant. How did you live your life? What did you do with the things and the talents that God gave you? And this is the whole concept of this book. And it's easy. It's easy, you guys. It's so easy. But is it for the lazy person? No.
No.
It takes work, and you have to work at it every 24 hours, and hence the name, Next 24 Hours.
No, tremendous work. I can share some stories a little bit too, is this in terms of growing up during time. I had some big goals, but I lacked a support system, a mentor. Back when I was in school, the internet wasn't even up and running yet. It was a whole different world. So my goal was to be a teacher and a coach for the long term. I just enjoyed teaching and coaching. I felt that was my natural talent. But then life throws you a lot of different curveballs. So I just wanted to share some of the things that I saw throughout the years and point out a couple of them. Never would have thought that we would have like the home mortgage crisis, 9/11, a job layoff, divorce, watching people with alcoholism suffer, watching some friends and people die unexpectedly. Just a lot of things that you don't think about.
The rise in homelessness.
Well, you're not prepared for. Yeah. So through my experience, and Sheri, you can share more with yours too, is just a little bit through the time. You think you got a straight shot to what you want to do. You think that if you think about it, you go to college, you get that degree. The next steps, you're going to get married. You're going to have the house,
the kids,
and white picket fence,
yep,
2 cars in the garage.
Yep, the American dream.
The American dream. And you begin to wonder, is the American dream still alive? Which I think it is, but it takes a tremendous amount of work today. Just to share some things that I've noticed over time that has always been uncomfortable for me. And I'd like everyone to share what's maybe been uncomfortable for them. Being in sports and growing up into a family, my father was a coach, it was always somewhat taught about being part of a community, part of a group, part of a team, participate, help the person to your left, help the person to your right. But when I graduated from college, what I noticed, that wasn't outside of sports, that wasn't the real world. The real world seemed to be competition, individualism,
pressure to succeed,
materialism.
Oh,
There in the 90s, that was big time.
Absolutely.
That was big time. And people thought their status based on what they did, or how much they made, or how well they looked.
And Mike, I still think that that's true today.
Oh, it is. It is. But what I just always had felt a little uncomfortable was, well, the old phrase, keeping up with the Joneses.
Right. Right.
And it just seemed like it was just a little uncomfortable. But we always had a fairly good time. I mean, it was fun to be social. It was
Right.
fun to do things. Activity was fun. But then I've noticed over time, and I want to talk about a little bit about the last 10 years, 5 years. It seemed like
Mm.
people have become, I mean, when I think about this, I think about my family. And I call it the old days, which is so funny, but it is true. The old days was growing up in Lincoln. You had Husker football. You had Valentinos. You go after
Right.
the game at Valentinos.
Runza.
Runza. You'd go down to the bars downtown Lincoln, and it would be, what was the bar that the lady played the piano?
Oh, Lee's Chicken.
Whether Lee's
It
Chicken.
was she played the organ.
There was another one on downtown Lincoln that I can't remember off the top of my head. But she played the piano at game days. I can't remember the bar, but so these things I kind of remember. Or Seacrest Field. It was fun. You had camaraderie between Southeast and East, Lincoln High, Northeast. Those were fun, good rivalries, good things. But over time, what I noticed, when neighbors used to get together for block parties, today, it feels like neighbor doesn't even know the neighbor. I remember in the day for Halloween. Do you remember Halloween?
Oh, absolutely.
Trick or treat.
Yep.
And the streets were full.
Yep. And parents weren't afraid. You went out and you'd be out for hours, and parents weren't afraid of you getting snatched. Yeah. Parents weren't afraid of a drug dealer coming up to you, or somebody putting razor blades or drugs or something in your candy.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Now you don't even see it. Yeah. If kids go trick or treating, it's to the mall.
Right.
Now that type of thing. Some of the things I've just noticed over time, it seems like society's become more angry, quick-tempered, quick to snap. I see where neighbors don't get along with neighbors. Workers don't get along with fellow employees. Why? Stress, unhappiness, unfulfilled, stress about. Let's think about the stresses in that. Stresses in their income. Mm-hmm. Look at the economy in the last year.
Oh.
Stresses in family.
Yep.
Divorce rates about 60%.
Yep.
Gas prices have gone up.
Oh, incredibly.
Talk a little bit about housing. You're a little familiar with the housing market.
I'm telling you, I have two daughters that are real estate agents for Berkshire Hathaway, and they both are amazing at what they do and very successful at what they do. However, the past couple of years has just been a little bit insane. I'm sure you're all aware of just even 2 years ago how the price of housing just skyrocketed. And it was just, happened to be looking for a house at that time. And you would find a house and you would go look, and there was 20 other people looking at the same house. You would put in an offer and they were getting 20 and 30 other offers, lots of them going over $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over asking price. And a lot of people offering cash. The interest rate was lower at that time, but it was insane. And now things have leveled off, but it's getting harder and harder for real estate agents because of, and I don't quite understand all of this. However, there's been a lot of lawsuits against real estate companies. Because of these things, they're changing the way that the agents are able to make money. And it's getting very, very, very difficult. Yeah. The big corporations are taking over a lot of the finance companies. You can do things online. And that's just one small thing in the corporate world and in the occupational world, where it's getting harder and harder. And to even find a job, let alone find a job, but to make ends meet, I'm seeing more and more families where moms and dads both are working 2 and 3 jobs just to put food on the table.
Mm-hmm. What that all leads up to for the family, for the individual, think about the father, mother, and the children.
Yeah.
Stress. Everywhere you turn. Stress, stress, stress. Well, we all know what stress does to the mind, the body, and the spirit. When you're stressed out like that, you can't think.
No.
You don't think positive.
No.
And I've learned that your thoughts, right? If you dwell on something and you think about that, it's going to affect your sleep. It's going to affect your eating habits. You might look for coping skills. You might turn to alcohol. You might turn to drugs.
You might get sick.
Depression. What I noticed, in my own life, over time, it's so slow.
Mm-hmm.
You start looking backward more than forward,
Mm-hmm.
and you're missing the good stuff. What's going on today?
Right, because you're dwelling on the past.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Lots of times when you're dwelling on the past,
Yeah.
you're dwelling on the bad things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that leads to, for me, situational depression.
Oh, that's a good word, Mike.
Yeah, well, I hear a lot about it, and we're not experts in any of this.
Oh.
And by the way, disclaimer, we're not counselors. This isn't about counseling.
No.
We're not that type of expert. Our goal is to get people back to doing a couple basic things. Sharing stories, helping each other, giving a helping hand, and if you could, Les Brown says it best, if you can look up, you can get up. And I'll say this, that when I talk about the times of things fading, I was somewhat depressed over a 30-year period. Do you know what I mean?
I know absolutely
what
what you
mean. I can get up and do things. But let me just make it very clear. It's not fun to get up and go to a job that you don't like, that you don't want to do. But you have to pay the bills.
Absolutely.
So you get up, you have to pay the bills, and it seems like you never make enough. The bills are always piling up. After you pay all your bills, you don't have much left over. It doesn't feel good. You can't seem to go out and enjoy yourself. So you get more frustrated.
Right.
It just piles on. And over time, you get so mentally tired that you stop doing some of the things that you should be doing.
Right.
For a healthy lifestyle. Can you comment on some of this?
Well, I agree with you 100% on all that. And it's, it's so easy to get caught up into it where you do everything that you're supposed to do and it weighs on you so heavy that most of the time you just either want to sleep or you just want to curl up in a fetal position and shut everything out. And that is the most unhealthy thing you can do. Life is going to throw you curves, and lots of times those curves are going to pull you down hard. Unfortunately in life we experience, like we had just mentioned, a lot of ups and downs, but you're going to have job loss. You're going to have friend and family loss. You're going to have tragedies. You're going to have unexpected things come up. Look at the weather that we've had, and the people, at least over here in West Omaha, Northwest Omaha, and surrounding areas. Omaha and Lincoln and Nebraska, for the most part, has been battling major floods, tornadoes all over the place. People have lost everything in some of these weather-related issues, especially the tornadoes. Mike and I drove around, and the areas over in Elkhorn after the tornado hit a month or so ago, and it was heartbreaking. I had a couple friends that were affected by this. On the good side of that, though, I have to throw in, I'm really proud of the city of Omaha and how everybody pitched in and everybody started donating and everybody rushed to these areas to help these families clean up and recover even just small personal items that were near and dear to them. It was devastating. But My point is that these things are going to happen in life, and it doesn't matter what the exact circumstances are, but it's how you go forward after these circumstances. And that's what's going to, that's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
We'll move forward here a little bit closer to how the book got started. And I'll tell you though, a job that was a blessing to me. Well, I got laid off about 8 years ago. I was looking for work, and I found a wonderful job called StarTran. Now, StarTran, I want to give a shout out to the bus drivers at StarTran in the city of Lincoln. I was really proud to work at StarTran. StarTran is the uh, public transit system in Lincoln. There's over 100 bus drivers that work there. Uh, and it was quite an experience. But StarTran, I want to talk about a job that, while it was never my goal or my plan, was a job that saved my life because it provided me a decent income, a good income.
Right.
It provided me good insurance and health benefits and some money in the retirement plan. So I'm grateful for that. We need to be grateful. I want to think about what we can be grateful for because when I met Sheri, I'll tell you a story. Sheri got to ride along with me a couple times
Yeah.
on the bus. And this was just after COVID. I think it was just a little after COVID.
Shortly.
But I want to give a shout out to StarTran because StarTran drivers, they do the very best they can.
Yeah.
They do put up. People think they just drive. It's a lot of stress. You have to drive a very large vehicle. You're responsible for the people on that bus. You're responsible to get them where they need to be. But I want to share with you, and I do again shout out to StarTran drivers because the world today, people may not be aware some of the things that you may see on a bus.
Yeah.
And what brings that to my mind was that story back east, out by I think it was in Philadelphia, where
Oh, yes.
the bus was hijacked,
Yes.
so to speak, and someone was shot on the bus.
I think there was like 17 passengers on the bus at that time.
17 passengers. But my point, when I observation in Lincoln, what thought about this during COVID, people were so angry that would get up on the bus. They either didn't have a bus pass, they're homeless, unemployed, mental illness, drug addiction, or people that just wanted to get to work, just wanted to be left alone and get where they be. But I observed people that just seemed unhappy, stayed to themselves, very quiet. The atmosphere that was tense.
It was
tension. I would describe it.
The few times that I got to ride with Mike and experience this, it was almost palpable.
Yeah.
You could feel it physically. You could feel the hopelessness. You could see it on people's faces, and you could even in their body language. I mean, it just, not everybody, but a lot of people, the majority, they'd had enough, and they just didn't know how to pull up out of it. They'd resign themselves to the fact that life was miserable. They were going to be miserable, and there was nothing they could do about it. They were stuck.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up too is what it did to the bus drivers, what it did to me. Mm-hmm. We were short on drivers. We worked a lot of overtime. It created a lot of mental stress, physical stress. Sometimes you'd get a little depressed with that because it was just constantly every day. You got to be on guard. That's my best answer. But I appreciate StarTran, and the reason I bring all that up is I was a little surprised at what we see in Lincoln. I didn't realize the amount of homelessness, people living in tents, people just with many different issues, people sleeping in bus stops, people just wanting to ride the bus because they have no place to stay in the wintertime and it's cold out. So we saw a lot of things, and during COVID, people were angry and frustrated, and it just kind of went on and on. So the spark that was a big spark for the idea of the book is for myself. I realized, boy, I'm frustrated. I'm getting angry. I'm isolating myself in my house. After work, I just wanted to go home and shut the door. I just wanted to be left alone. And it got to a point was, boy, I don't want to live that way anymore. That's not right. I'm not living a happy life. I'm not living the kind of life I had wanted. And that startled me a little bit. when you turn 60, by the way, Ricky Simmons said this the other day on a podcast with Mac McCoy. When he was young, he thought he was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Well, I felt the same. 10, maybe not 10 feet tall, maybe 8 feet tall and bulletproof. But then you realize that no, that's not the case. And mortality, the average life expectancy for a male is 73 years old in the United States, and a woman 76.
Absolutely.
So something to think about. So what does all that mean? Well, during COVID, had no place to go, couldn't go out, couldn't socialize. I could feel the pressure just in my mind, getting just frustrated. And so I began to pivot and think about myself. It's like, I don't want to live this way anymore. I have to change. I have to change the way I think. I have to change what I do. I have to look inward out of myself instead of outward. Have you experienced that?
Absolutely, I have. And, it's easy just to brush it off.
Yes.
Mike, I think, when we met and we first started talking about this, you had I was at a very low point in my life, but you had brought up these bullet points, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was one of those aha moments, but also one of those moments like, unfortunately, I have to admit, he's right. There were just some things that I had to pull out of me. And, I think it's easier just to ignore those things rather than work on them or try to change them.
Oh, definitely.
Change is hard. And the older you get,
Change is very hard. And you're going to come to the crossroads where you decide you won't realize it, but it's just going to hit you in the face.
Yeah.
Do I change? Do I take action toward change, or do I not? It's easy to just continue on. So, let your mind think, oh, my time's passed. Don't let the thoughts in your mind take you there. That leads to this. I want to read this to you. So what I was doing before I met Sheri, I was listening to some motivational audios on YouTube and so forth, because I couldn't go anywhere, do anything. And I knew that I was taking notes. And I ran across Les Brown. Les Brown is a great motivational speaker back in the 80s and 90s. He's still active today. But I want to read this to you, and I'll read it to you slow. And I hope if you grab a paper and pen, get your coffee, this is for you, the audience. This is for you. And I'll read this. And some of you may have heard this before, but let it soak in, because this is the spark that told me that I wanted to break a pattern. And I'm going to read this to you now. It says, imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the ideas, the dreams, the abilities, the talents to give you life. And that for whatever reason, you never acted on those ideas. You never pursued that dream. You never used those talents. And we never saw your leadership. You never used your voice. You never wrote that book. And there they are, standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, we came to you, and only you could have given us life. Now we must die with you forever. The question is, if you died today, what ideas, what dreams, what abilities, what talents, what gifts will die with you? Let that soak in a little bit. That hit me really, really hard. And it came in like a flood. It just realized my heart kind of rushed a little bit. I thought, oh my gosh, think about that. If I died today, the ideas and dreams will die with me. The talents given to you by life will die with me. But you never acted on those ideas will die with me. You never wrote that book. You never, they must all die with you. And what a shame. I think that happens to so many people. People that we don't even know. Faces we don't even see.
Yep. And I have a friend that she's got an amazing voice. She's an amazing singer. She's actually written a few songs just at home on her own. But she's a single mom with a couple children. She's trying to make ends meet. She works a more than full-time job, and just, it's like, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. Those are gifts that God gives you. It doesn't matter if it's music. It doesn't matter if you're a writer. It doesn't matter if you're a quilt maker. Whatever it is, God gave you those gifts, and he gave you those for a purpose. He gave you those for a purpose. He wants you to use them. And those are the kind of things you need to think about, that you need really one of those self-reflective times again, where you need to dig deep.
Yeah.
You need to dig deep and figure out, what are those? What were those dreams you had as a child? What did you want to do when you were a child? What did you think your life was going to look like? And I'm not just talking to the senior citizens out there. I'm talking to even the high school kids, the younger kids. Facilitate those goals, facilitate those dreams, but it takes a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen overnight, because you come from a wealthy family and mom and dad just hand you everything.
Yep.
You've got to work for it. You've got to work for it, and not just work for the monetary things and the material things. You've got to work for the things that you want out of your life.
So what does this mean for you? This is the question for you today, is stop and pause. Are you living your dreams? Are you pursuing your talents, your ideas, your ambitions, or do you feel stuck? That is the whole purpose, or the main purpose, why we wrote this book. This book has flaws in it. It's not perfect, but it's a 286-page book. What the book has in terms of, it tells a little bit about our story. It talks about the things that we all have in common. And when I think about that, we all have life in common. But if we want to get specific, we have money concerns in common. We have family in common, careers in common, health in common, and much more. Think how much we have in common. So our hope is that we get people back together to start gathering in communities, gathering in small groups, doing small workshops. Let the walls down and just share your stories, talk.
And learn to trust again. Learn to trust again, to share your stories and to talk.
Your story, what I want to share with you to realize, your story may save somebody's life.
Oh, okay. That's the truth.
Moving on, as we're looking at the time, I want to make sure we can turn to talk about this all day. We love this topic. It's a passion of Sheri and our heart. We really we've dedicated our lives to this, and we've put everything into it. I promise you that. Let's have a little fun. I got a little question for you. How many people does it take to change a light bulb? Share in the comments. How many people does it take to change a light bulb? Anybody know? Sheri, do you know?
I know.
Like this joke.
I do not like this joke. This is a good
icebreaker.
This is a groaner. Okay. I'm telling you.
The answer is none. The light bulb must want to change.
Oh. If we had sound effects, you'd be hearing them right now. I'd be pressing that button.
If people want you to change, but you're not willing to change, nothing will happen. So that's our little humor and fun today. So we get on that. So we're going to pivot now, and we're going to do a little interview with Miss Sheri, and she does not know the questions that I'm going to ask her today.
I'm a little worried about this, guys. So bear with me.
We're going to go with this. We've got about 5-6 questions, Sheri, that we're going to ask, and I'd just like you to speak from the heart.
Do we have enough time, Mike?
Well, let's try to keep it short, okay?
All right.
Sheri has a tendency not like to go the long version, but we're going to keep it the short version. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Fire away.
Okay, these first 3 are the serious questions. What inspired you to write NXT24, and how did you embark on this journey of personal development?
Well, you inspired me. Once again, I had said I was coming out of a very, very dark place, and Mike had walked somewhat of the same road just shortly before I did. And so we had a lot in common in that way. And he started sharing with me his concept and his idea for this book. I believe actually he had written the first chapter, and he sent me just a very, very rough draft of that first chapter. And it was like, I mean, the tears just came, and it hit home. It really hit home. And, and then the more we talked about it, it really started, a lot of things started resonating. I knew there was a lot of things that I could do to change my situation as far as myself and things in my life to kind of get up out of that dark hole. And that was kind of the inspiration. And then more and more, and we talked, I said, this has to be done. We have to do this. We have to do this. In fact, I'm sure I came across a little pushy, big surprise. But it's like, this has to be done. People need to see this. People need to hear this.
Yes. Oh, good answer there. All right. Next question. Can you share a pivotal moment during the writing process when you realized the impact of this book on the readers?
Ooh, let me just think super fast here in my little brain. A pivotal moment. Well, I mean, I want to go back to the beginning again, I think, is when you sent me that first chapter. And the more we talked and the more we were throwing around ideas about this, the more that I knew, and I'll say, I was praying about this because I'm not a writer. It's like, what do you mean? And then you said, I want you to be a part of this. And it's like, whoa, back the truck up. This isn't what I do. But, things just started evolving, and, it just blessed my heart to watch the process and the changes in Mike, the changes in myself, and to see the things that God was doing, the ideas, just the things we were bouncing off of each other. It just, the whole thing was stressful, but it was such a joy. I mean, it really was. It was a joy. It was exciting, and it still is exciting, and it still is a joy.
Oh, it is. It's been such a emotional journey.
Oh,
it's been up and down. It's taught us a lot. I can just want to share that I'm learning to realize there's so much I don't know, but I want to learn it, and I want to.
It has been it's been a big learning experience. I mean, just not only writing the book, but even trying to figure out how do we publish this book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And Next 24, Sheri, you guide readers to confront past disappointments. How did you personally navigate that process, and what insight did you gain?
Well, throughout my life, and I'm just going to be brutally honest here, I've gone to countless counselors for different issues, different things. And while counseling is wonderful, and I advocate counseling. It is such a good thing, especially in these times. But there was just some simple steps. You can talk through things and work through things, but you can also utilize some simple physical steps of things to do every day to turn your mindset around, to make some changes, to not stay stuck, so to speak, that are going to give you a little bit of hope, that are going to give you a little bit of glimmer where you can, like our title says, you can discover that joy again. You can discover that happiness again. And does that make like perfect 24/7? Absolutely not. But when you do hit those bumps in the road, no matter how minor or how major, these are some steps you can take to stay grounded, so to speak.
Good answer. Next question, and this is the funny question for you, Sheri. Are you ready? If Next 24 was a superhero, what would be its superpowers, and what costume would it look like?
Oh, Mike. Are we talking from a male standpoint or a female standpoint?
Whatever
okay.
you want to give.
The superpowers would be just giving you the things that you need to make some simple little changes in your daily life. Not what's going to happen 12 months down the road, or not to see what's going to happen 6 months down the road, but little changes you can make every single day to get you through that 24-hour time period or the 48-hour time period, whatever it takes. Superhero. I think the superhero would probably, I mean, of course, you're going to have the superhero costume, all the leggings and the tights and all that stuff. And you can imagine in your own mind if you want it to be male or female. But I think that our superhero would have, of course, our book in one hand, but in the other hand, I think would be a toolbox. And in that toolbox would be all of the tools that you need to make all these little changes in your life. So there you have it.
When I think about it, I think about my vision is that for people to come together with us in a workshop. Join us in a workshop. We'll sit down. It's free. We sit down and just have a discussion. We don't. It's not a sale. I promise you that. We have some workshops that we do about once a month that people get a little fearful because they think the one thing I want to mention is people are so conditioned about infomercials and all this. This is not that. This is, hey, let's gather. Take a look at the book. Let's share this with you. Let's comprehend a little bit about what's in here. Just use it as a tool. And then you decide. This is the beauty of this. You decide what you want to start on first. Everyone's different.
Right.
Maybe they want to work on their health. Maybe they want to work on their finances. But it seems to give you the power to envision what you want to start on today. And I know that's a stressor for people. It's like, oh my goodness, how do I start? What do I do? What do I need to do? And then they get afraid and they slide back and don't do anything. We want to help you prevent that. See, we want to help you move forward. We want to help you keep it going. So that's the idea, getting together and just have a discussion. Tell us your dreams. Tell us your goals. Put pen to paper. Put out a little plan. Well, in the future, we'll be talking about a dream board, a vision board. This is so much fun. That's the key.
Bucket list.
This is fun. This is not work. This is so much fun and excitement. And to see on people's faces them light up. The stress will drain.
Right.
The joy will come. The happiness will begin to go about. And they begin to do things they didn't know they were capable of doing. That's the fun of this. All right. Let's go move on to the next question, Sheri. This is personal questions.
Oh, boy.
Okay. What's one surprising fact about you that readers might not know?
Oh, my goodness. Well, here's a surprising fact, and I don't even think you know this one, Mike.
What's that?
When I was in the 5th grade, I believe 5th grade, I have to go back and do the math. It's been a lot of years. I actually got to sing for the governor of Nebraska with my brother and sister at the centennial of the state of Nebraska down in Lincoln.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
I did not know that.
There's
See,
there's a little fun fact about Sheri.
Learn about each other.
Yes.
If you could have, final question, if you could have a conversation with your younger self, what advice would you give her?
Oh boy. Learn to love yourself. Don't be such a people pleaser.
You know, that reminds me, we met a very special person a couple weeks ago. And I want to give a shout out to Derek Pearson.
Absolutely.
Owner of 93.7, the Ticket radio station in Lincoln. We got the chance to meet with him.
Yep.
And it just happened to be a chance we ran across him. And if I didn't plan this today, but let me share this quick story. When I was driving a bus for Star Trek, and I was thinking about this book, I was driving around, and it's dark. This is at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, 6 o'clock in the morning. I come around down O Street, and I look over to my right, and I see this light on with the walls with Husker red on them.
The best color.
And I saw people behind the glass window. on air. And I thought to myself, what is this? Who is this? What are they doing? And I did think to myself, gosh, I hope someday we can be on that station with this book. So I mean, that was just a dream, and we got to meet with Derek and talk to him about just meeting him up in Omaha while he was working with the Supernovas.
Yes.
But the reason I bring up Derek today is he talks about love.
Ugh.
Everything is brought toward people in a loving way, in a teaching moment. And so just a shout out to Derek. It's just, Sheri, do you want to comment on it? Just a shout out?
Yes, and I apologize, Derek, because I should know this. But he actually has I don't know if it's a foundation, but part of what he does is called the Love Project, and I think if you Google it, you can find it. Mm-hmm. But it's an amazing website, and it just really it's really the heart of what we need right now. It really truly is, and and not only that, but Derek is so fun, and he has a smile that is just like 5 miles wide, and you can't be down when you're around Derek Pearson. And I just have to say this really quick. He also is the king and the master of funk. And if you just look at his webpage, his Facebook page every morning, he does just a short clip of a really fun funk song.
He sure does.
And he jams and he chair dances. And I have challenged him to do a dance off, but we're still working out those details.
So Derek, you bring a lot of inspiration. 93.7, The Ticket. If you don't know about them, check them out. They're downtown off of O Street, about 14th and O, I believe. Pretty close to there.
Yeah.
And you can watch them on YouTube, Facebook, and of course.
And they do run live on YouTube for those of you in Omaha.
Yes.
I believe you can get them for right now on AM 590, I believe, but YouTube is the best because they not only have the audio, but they have the live video, and you can see everybody live and in person.
And I don't want to forget about his wife, Rebecca. We got to meet her too. Just a wonderful lady.
I think she runs the show there personally.
Well, we'll find out.
Yes.
Yeah, she sure does. All right, moving forward, we want to conclude today a little bit. Really, that you can find us on YouTube, on Next24 Personal Development on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. We're there to provide information. We created the Facebook page, the users group. We want people to share your stories, share what books you're reading, share what you're doing, inspire other people. It's fun to watch.
Mike, can I just add really quick? If you can, we're going to be doing this live every Saturday morning at 9.
Yes.
And our goal is to start having you and other people on to share their stories. We already have ideas for some people that we're going to reach out to. And we know some amazing people that have some amazing stories. I don't want to say rags to riches, but where they've walked through a lot in their life.
Just count people. So we're going to wrap this up today, but I just want to know our goal is simple. We just want to help the people who feel forgotten. There are so many people, I believe, that feel that way, that their voice doesn't matter. And that's not true. We want to help them in any way we can. So we're going to offer workshops. Excuse me. We're willing to present our material. We have a PowerPoint presentation. It's really a very good, motivational. You have to bring your Kleenex. It's emotional. But we'll be happy to do a large group presentation, whether it's your church, business, school, or small group. These are free. This is all free. We want to share that, and we want to learn together. So Sheri, how else can people contact us?
We do have a website, and Mike, I'm going to let you shout out what that website is.
Yeah, you can go to www.next24book.com. You can check that. We have a website there that will show you the history of the book, the story of the book, what it's all about. We also have an online store. You'll see, I'll just show you here. You'll see these cups, these types of things. We want to show that and be part of the community.
There's my coffee cup.
Yep, coffee cups. We like that type of thing.
Sweatshirts, hats.
So we're going to conclude today with a list of gratitude. We've got a list here. We call it our top 10 list today, and we'll be quick. We'll be wrapping this up. But we want to thank, excuse me, Page Publishing.
Hmm?
We didn't know where to go. We didn't know what to look for. Page Publishing has been very helpful in the design and the creation of the book and the marketing of the book and ideas. So that's been great. We certainly couldn't do this without family and friends who offered encouragement. I want to share you, there was many times we thought about quitting because it was hard. It is hard. It's not easy, but we knew that it was something special, and we would regret it.
Oh, yeah.
If we did.
Absolutely.
You know, I appreciate you, Sheri. You believed in me when I brought you the book. You didn't laugh at me or put it down or think it was silly to do. You know, I needed that encouragement. All right, number 4, we got to give a really big shout out to Mac McCoy, the View from the Pew. He's up here in Omaha. We got a chance to meet with Mac early on, and he gave us such great advice. And he's invited us on his show. Excuse me. And it's just been so much fun. We've done some Bible studies with him, and we're learning. We're learning so much from Mac. And Mac's got a great story. So go to YouTube, check out Mac McCoy, The View from the Pew.
The View from a Pew. And also he's on Facebook, you guys, just under Mac J. McCoy, and he broadcasts his shows live. Keep pulling them up.
Sheri, show this book. We want to give a special shout out also to Ricky C. Simmons, who shared his own. He sat down with us. He shared his story. He has a wonderful story, a true, real life story that you need to hear. Show this book. It's called 365 Days of Redemption, written by Ricky Simmons. Let me see that book real quick, Sheri, please.
I'll let you open it.
I just wanted to say, he's got 2 books out. One's I've got on the way. This is a daily journal of inspirational quotes by former NFL player and substance abuse motivational speaker Ricky Simmons. Check this out. Thanks, Ricky.
Yeah, man, Ricky, you're amazing. And if you guys have not heard his testimony, go on. You can go on my Facebook, Mike's Facebook, because he just did a broadcast with Mac on the 4th of July. And I'm telling you what, his testimony is it'll bring you to tears.
Very powerful. Real quick here before we wrap up, we want to thank John Lindsay from Open Door Mission. He's been very helpful as we've tried to talk with him.
Yep, here in Omaha.
With them. Suicide Prevention of Nebraska, we're going to be doing some volunteer work with them. I think volunteering, look to volunteer, help others and volunteer. Find something you want to do that you like to do. It's out there. Number 9 is Paige Zudevern, owner of Strictly Business.
Yes.
She's been a great help in allowing us to advertise in her magazine and help us along the way. Number 10 will be Teammates, Tom Osborne's Teammates. We've just signed up with them, so we hope to get involved with them as well. So we've got many, many people to thank, too many, but we needed that encouragement, and we want to encourage others. We want to invite anyone who's interested in telling their story on our podcast.
Absolutely. And just you know how to reach us. Yep. Most of you are friends with us on Facebook. Message us on Facebook. If you have our phone numbers, message us, call us, get on our website, tell us you want to be on the show.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap this up today. It's almost close to the hour. It's been a wonderful first day. Sheri, any final quick comments?
No, none that I can think of right now, except for ask yourself this question. We talk about NXT24. We've told you what it's about, but ask yourself this question. In my life, for me, what's next?
That's right. What's next? And next week we will be here again. And again, it's our goal to meet with small groups and help others. So
thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Thank you. Have a good day.